Thousands of property owners who saw their homes burned to the ground in the Palisades are now suing the city of LA.
And today we learned Mayor Bass's own brother is also taking legal action.
Let me ask you something. Riddle me this. When was the last time you saw a mayor get dragged into a political nightmare because her own family joined the lawsuit against the city she runs? Because that just happened right here in Los Angeles, California. Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, the same mayor who was somewhere overseas while Los Angeles was entering one of the worst fire disasters in city history, now has her own brother connected to the legal fallout. Her brother, Kenneth Bass. Kenneth Bass and his wife Cindy lost their Malibu home in the Palisades Fire. The home was destroyed, completely obliterated, burned down. And now they've joined a lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles, that and LADWP and other entities over the damage caused by that fire. So let's be very clear. This is not just some random critic online. This is not just Spencer Pratt. This is not just a political opponent. This is Karen Bass's own brother suing the city Karen Bass runs. That doesn't look good. That's a brutal optic, to say the least. Because when your critics say that the city failed, politicians can spin that. When voters say the city failed, politicians can't ignore that. When the media says that the city failed, politicians can blame politics. But when your own family is standing with thousands of other victims saying that the system failed them, and the system is really, let's be honest, you, that hits different. And then here comes Spencer Pratt, the man who lost his home in the Palisades Fire, the man who ran for mayor against Karen Bass, the man who just got knocked out of the race. He posted that he was proud to be teaming up with Karen Bass's brother in this lawsuit.
With heavy winds whipping embers around the Pacific Palisades and into Malibu, we all know the damage that was left behind. As a result, thousands whose homes were damaged or destroyed have joined lawsuits going after multiple defendants, including the state, LADWP, and the city of Los Angeles. And it turns out one of those plaintiffs is Kenneth D. Bass, the brother of LA Mayor Karen Bass. Court documents show Kenneth owned this Malibu property complete with a guest house, pool, and putting green. But from Air 7, you can see the main home is long gone. According to this lawsuit, first reported on by LA Material, the home is a total burn down, and Kenneth Bass experienced smoke inhalation and emotional distress.
Now, legally, the lawsuit is against the city and agencies involved. But politically, Spencer knows exactly what he's doing. He's saying even Karen Bass's own family knows that this city failed, that she failed. And that is the part City Hall does not want people thinking about, because the call is not coming from outside the house anymore. No. The call is coming from inside the house.
4 months after the Palisades Fire, shock has turned to anger. Where was the water needed for the battle of fires?
They're out of water. It does feel helpless when you're watching it burn and there's just nothing you can do.
The water was shut down.
The water's all off, so you can't go there. I was bucketing out of my jacuzzi in a pool across the way.
Desperate scenes played out in Pacific Palisades on January 7th, 8th, and 9th as residents watched their homes burn and firefighters told them there was nothing they could do because they had no water. When the fire broke out around 10:30 in the morning on January 7th, Tom Dorn and his family didn't leave, choosing to stay behind and try to save their home. But he says at 9:30 p.m., the hose he was using to put out a hotspot near his garage ran dry. His home burned to the ground a few hours later.
Now let's talk about the part of this story that should make everybody here in Los Angeles just stop what they're doing. The Santa Ynez Reservoir, a 117 million gallon water facility sitting right there next to the Pacific Palisades. A reservoir that was supposed to help serve that area during emergencies. But when the fire came, it was offline. It was empty. It was unavailable.
Here's how the Palisades gets water. The 36-inch Westgate trunk line runs from the Stone Canyon Reservoir in Bel Air along Sunset Boulevard to the Palisades. Pump stations move the water from the trunk line to higher elevations in the Palisades, including 3 1 million gallon tanks and the 117 million gallon Santa Ynez Reservoir, which has been out of service for over a year. On January 7th, the Marquez Knolls tank in the Palisades ran dry just hours into the fire at 4:45 p.m. Then at 8:30 p.m., the trailer tank in the Palisades Highlands ran dry. And by 3 in the morning on January 8th, the Temescal tank was empty.
We had a lot of different hydrants being used simultaneously. And also the fact that certain properties, they left the water running to saturate the area.
And when a structure is destroyed, water is just flowing. There's no way to control it. So imagine having a straw having 4,800 holes and you're trying to push the water to the end point. You just can't get the water to it.
It took 2 days before LADWP crews could get back into the Palisades to turn off the water at the homes that had burned. Attorney Roger Bailey is suing the LADWP on behalf of more than 750 Palisades residents.
The water supply system in the Palisades was not maintained properly, it wasn't repaired properly, and that left firefighters with the inability to use the resources they so desperately needed. Some people say, well, all the water in the world wouldn't have made a difference. We know that several property owners, including Rick Caruso, had his own private firefighting team that had water and resources and were able to save several structures. I defy anybody to explain to me how having an extra 117 million gallons of water was inconsequential.
Now think about that. Los Angeles sits in a fire zone. The hills are dry. The winds, dangerous. Everybody knows the Santa Ana winds can turn one spark into a blaze, into a disaster. And yet, one of the most important water resources near the Pacific Palisades was sitting there empty when the emergency arrived. According to lawsuits, LADWP failed to keep that reservoir ready. The legal argument is that the city failed to maintain adequate water supply, failed to prepare, and left firefighters dealing with water pressure problems when they needed pressure the most. And this is where people need to stop pretending that this is just politics. This has nothing to do with left or right. This has nothing to do with celebrity versus politician. This is about basic government responsibility. You pay DWP. You pay taxes. I pay fees. You pay into the system every single month. And when your neighborhood is burning, the bare minimum expectation is that the water system is ready to go. Now, city officials and experts may argue the reservoir alone would not have saved every home. Okay, but that's not the point. The point is this. When the emergency came, the backup was not ready. When firefighters needed pressure, parts of the system failed.
They're out of water. It does feel helpless when you're watching it burn and there's just nothing you can do.
When families needed protection, they got excuses. And now, thousands of people are in court, including Karen Bass's own brother. Now, that's not some internet conspiracy. That's not somebody making a TikTok for attention. That is a legal paper trail. 117 million gallons. Gone. Empty. Offline. And the people who lost everything are asking one simple question: why? Why?
I'm going to be lighting you up every single day. I don't have a campaign laws hamstringing me now. It's war.
Here's what the political machine in Los Angeles misunderstood about Mr. Spencer Pratt. They thought if he lost the race, he would just vanish. Just go away. Stay in Cabo. They thought if he got pushed out of the runoff, the story would end there. Everything would get back to normal. The system was system. They thought that people would laugh. They thought people would move on. They thought people would let City Hall get back to business as usual, but that's not what happened. Spencer Pratt may have lost the mayoral race, but he did not lose the microphone. In fact, I think he's more dangerous to the machine now than he was as a candidate, because as a candidate, he had to run with the structure. But now he can expose the structure. He can talk. He can post. He can connect with victims. He can point people back to the lawsuit. He can keep reminding Los Angeles that the Palisades Fire was not just a natural disaster. not just a natural disaster.
Hope you sleep well at night over the next 5 months, because you know who hasn't slept well at all for the last 17 months? My mom. All my neighbors in the Palisades, all the moms who worry about their kids walking past drug addicts in front of their schools, all the business owners getting crushed in the LA economy, worried that they can't stay in business and feed their kids. Angelinos have been struggling for years now, all while corrupt politicians and fraudulent NGOs profit off the misery and fleece us for the tax dollars.
It was also a failure of leadership, preparation, infrastructure, accountability. And this is why the Kenneth Bass piece matters, because Spencer is no longer standing alone. No. Now the story becomes bigger. It becomes, wait a minute, even Karen Bass's own brother is a part of the legal fight against the city? This is the kind of political image you cannot easily erase. Karen Bass is heading into a runoff against Nithya Raman. The progressive machine is still trying to hold power. The consulting class is still trying to get paid. The nonprofit network is still trying to survive. But this lawsuit is sitting there like a stone in the shoe. Every debate, every interview, every campaign ad, every time Karen Bass talks about leadership, someone can ask, if the city did everything right, Miss Bass, well, why is your own brother suing the city you run? That's not a small question. That is the machine cracking in real time, in public.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is acknowledging that her decision to travel to Africa in the days prior to the historic wildfires breaking out was a mistake. At the time of her travel, the city was under red flag warnings for critical fire danger due to 80 to 100 mile-per-hour wind gusts. The mayor received criticism over the timing of her trip to Ghana, and she now tells the local ABC affiliate she regrets the decision to go.
Obviously, I hated the fact that I was out of the city when the city needed me the most. And frankly, when my family needed me the most, because I was impacted, my family was impacted by the fires as well. It is a horrible feeling to know that it took a long time to come back because of how far away I was.
The mayor says while the trip was a mistake, she believes she wasn't provided the right information at the time to understand the severity of the conditions.
It was a mistake to travel, but I will tell you that we need to evaluate everything, because honest and truly, if I had all of the information that I needed to have, the last thing I would have done would have been to be out of town.
Remember, it was early January when historic fires ripped through LA. On January 2nd, a potential fire weather risk alert was issued. On January 3rd, the National Weather Service issued another alert on critical fire conditions. At the bottom of the alert reads major risk, take action. On January 4th, Bass traveled to Ghana, landing on January 5th, the same day the Weather Service increased the risk to a red flag warning. The risk continued to increase on January 6th, to which Bass reposted a Weather Service alert saying there is an expected destructive and potentially life-threatening windstorm starting Tuesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. Stay safe, LA. Hours later, the Palisades Fire broke out, then the Eaton Fire, and the city quickly burned. 12 people died in the Palisades Fire, burning more than 23,000 acres, destroying 6,800 structures. And in the state's second most destructive wildfire in history, the Eaton Fire tore through 14,000 acres, destroying over 9,400 structures and killed 17 people. Mayor Bass boarded a military flight back the day the fires broke out and was back in the city the following day. There, she was met with criticism, a recall effort, and calls for her resignation by some LA residents.
So here's the thing. The reason this story matters is not because Karen Bass has a brother. The reason this story matters is because the brother is now standing in the same legal fight as regular Angelinos who lost everything. That destroys the usual political shield, because City Hall loves to act like critics are crazy. They act like people are, you are exaggerating. They act like the victims are being emotional. You're a little bit too emotional. They act like anybody asking hard questions is just playing politics. But what happens when the mayor's own family is asking questions too? What happens when the paper trail is in court? What happens when the lawsuits start pointing at the reservoir, at the water pressure, the preparation, the decisions, the people in charge? You see, that's when the story changes. Because Los Angeles does not just have a fire problem. Los Angeles has an extreme accountability problem. We keep paying more and getting less. Higher bills, higher taxes, higher costs, more consultants, more departments, more promises, more press conferences. And then when a crisis comes, the system looks shocked. The system looks shocked that people actually expected it to work. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable anymore. If the city can collect the money, the city can answer the questions. If the city can hold the press conferences, the city can open the books. If the city can spend billions, the city can explain why 117 million gallons of water was not ready when folks needed it. Karen Bass can try to campaign past this. The media can try to soften it. The machine can try to spin it. But the lawsuits are here. The victims are here. And Spencer Pratt is still rattling off, still talking. And Karen Bass's own brother is now part of the legal fight against the city she runs. This is not just bad optics. That is a warning sign. This is Wolf Kage Los Angeles, and I'll be watching. Will you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until the next time, peace.